The federal government is taking urgent steps to tackle the rising wave of student kidnappings across Nigeria, exploring a coordinated security response. Authorities are reportedly considering a joint task force combining the military, police, DSS, and other security agencies to oversee the rescue of abducted students. The development follows a briefing by DSS Director-General Tosin Ajayi to President Bola Tinubu on the current security situation. Special Adviser Bayo Onanuga confirmed the meeting on X, saying it took place Friday night, though no formal statement has been released. The move comes amid growing concern over mass abductions and nationwide insecurity. And now we have Okechukwu Nwanguma, a security expert, joining us to discuss the rising student abductions and the government's response so far. Good afternoon, Mr. Should I say Okechukwu? Or Mr. Nwanguma?
Yes.
Good afternoon. Happy Sunday.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Happy Sunday, and happy International Men's Week. It was on Wednesday.
Thank you.
What is your assessment of the current security situation in Nigeria, especially with this recent wave of school and church abductions?
Unfortunately, the escalating insecurity in Nigeria has become an alarming national emergency. Every week in Nigeria, we wake up to new reports of school children abducted, communities attacked, travelers kidnapped, and entire communities, entire villages terrorized. What is even more troubling is the growing sense that the Nigerian state is either overwhelmed, or indifferent, or in some cases, complicit by its persistent failure to act. I just watched a video of a community where they were complaining about attacks and in spite of credible intelligence that could have helped to prevent, but there was no intervention. And then when the community protested, the same security forces descended on the community. And so this is why people think that there is some level of complicity, state complicity. And at the heart of this crisis, three major things. First is collapse of effective governance, because it seems to me that government is thinking now about election 2027 and not focusing on governance. There's also lack of effective security, coordination. Intelligence is, like I said, intelligence is, often available before attacks. Yet security agencies fail to respond on time or at all. And then there's also the point about the decay of our security institutions. Years of underfunding, politicization, poor welfare, weak oversight, and corruption have eroded the capacity and morale of our security forces. And then impunity, culture of impunity, and by this I mean situation where terrorists, bandits, and kidnappers operate freely without consequences. Criminality becomes profitable business model.
Wow. So we also see that now the government is planning to set up a joint task force involving the military, the police, the DSS, and other agencies. How effective do you think this plan will be?
Well, I mean, this sounds to me more like reinventing the wheel, and that speaks to coordination. And I talked about coordination, but I think that to reverse this decline, this undecisive action will be necessary. But of course, start by overhauling security leadership, improve interagency coordination, and I suspect that what they are trying to do is, falls in line with that interagency coordination, but also invest in intelligence-driven operations. There must be a clear shift from reactive, government security forces to more of reacting to prevent and then to prevent more of prevention and then community-centered policing. They need to engage with communities to be able to understand, because you see, without community involvement, it is difficult and it's difficult for the security agencies to effectively discharge their functions. And the level of confidence that communities have in the security is waning. And this, for me, is a key issue that must be addressed.
Right. So now we see that this is not just happening in 2025. I beg, excuse me. In 2014, we had the Chibok abduction. We had the Dapchi in 2018. We had Kankara in 2020. We have Kangara in 2021. We had the Kaduna abduction in same 2021. We had Greenfield in 2021. We had another Yeri abduction in 2021. We had the Kuriga Kaduna schools 2024. It's been ongoing. Now, in your view, what do you think the main challenges are that is facing the security agencies, that is preventing them from, curbing this insecurity that's been happening, over a decade?
So you realize that not long ago, because of public outcry, the president had to change to appoint a new, army staff. He changed the service chiefs, and yet we've had in 1 week alone, you see the number of attacks that we have recorded. So what this means is clearly that there is absence of governance. There is absence of government. So government needs to look within, pay closer attention to our security capabilities. And I think that kidnapping has become a lucrative business. There are people within government who are involved in this enterprise. And unless government has the will to identify those people, isolate them, and deal with them, see, accountability is key. Those who abduct children, attack communities, and destroy lives must be identified, arrested, and prosecuted, including those within government. Look at people like Sheikh Gumi. When you hear him making excuses for terrorists and bandits, I do not understand why security agencies are yet to invite him for questioning. But of course, there's a deeper issue, and these deeper issues include issues of poverty, unemployment, proliferation of arms, and the absence of functional local governance, which creates fertile ground for insecurity. So government needs to do a whole lot of, change of strategy. The political will must be there to identify those who are behind bandits. See, the people I hear today, the Minister of State for Defense, Matawale, said government has identified the location of the abducted schoolgirls. These are not the things we want to hear. What we want to hear is that they have been rescued. And by the time you say you have identified their location, you are also giving information to the bandits. So I think that what we need is concrete action, not rhetorics and, so government needs to, be more serious, show more seriousness, commitment, and political will to deal with this. So children should go to school without fear. Communities deserve protection, and the state must rise to its constitutional duty. The primary duty of government is welfare and security. We cannot continue like this. This is time for leadership, action, and accountability.
Of course, So now the thing now is, with all this happening, and you also mentioned that they need to identify the bandits and the kidnappers who are after these children and the communities. How do you think intelligence gathering and, community engagement can be involved to prevent future abductions? Because we see that a lot of people are scared. They've been, allegations or information saying that some people even feed these bandits so that they can sleep. So how would they be able to engage the community to prevent further abductions?
In many communities, trust in security agencies does not exist anymore. So it is important that deliberate efforts are taken to, restore public trust in security agencies, because without that trust, information, because there are many occasions when people say they gave information and those information were not used. So, and this is what I mean when I talk about community-centered policing. It requires trust, community trust. It requires accountability. It requires, adequate funding, intelligence, investing in all of this. The security cannot serve the people without the people's consent and cooperation. So whatever can be done to strengthen community-centered policing, restore public trust in security agencies, strengthen the capability of agencies to be able to operationally proactive and effective, and be confident that the people have trust in them and can work with them and can trust that information given to them will be used to protect, to prevent crime and arrest those who are committing crime. Unless that happens, we may not be getting close to addressing this challenge of insecurity.
Okay, sir. So lastly, before you go, looking ahead, what long-term, I know you've mentioned how, they can put the community together and how they should find these people, but what long-term solutions do you recommend to secure our schools, religious institutions, and the community at large?
So, there is this talk about, safe schools. A lot of these schools do not have fences. They are located in neighborhoods that are far removed. They don't have fencing. There is no security presence. So I think that it's important to revisit this safe school policy of ensuring that our schools are made safe for our children, so that it will be difficult for criminals to penetrate these schools and abduct children. And it requires funding and commitment. The government should go beyond rhetorics and provide the necessary funds, provide the security infrastructure that is necessary, make sure there is presence of security, build fences, and also, sensitize these children on, on basic, safety and security, precautions that they have to take. So generally, I'm saying that there's already a policy in place, which is called the Safe School, policy. A government needs to adequately fund it, make sure that there is sufficient security presence, and that the children are aware of their environment.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Okechukwu Nwanguma. Thank you for your expertise on security. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.